Okay, guys, are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, beta. You want to ask me something? Okay, guys. So last time, as you know, that we had completed the preparation of the soluble salt with respect to titration. Titration, all procedure we have discussed. Okay. So I have told you if the salt is soluble and it contains the metal of group 1 and ammonium, so then you can carry out the titration. Okay. And if any other metal than group 1 is present, then you can use the method which is called as the crystallization method. So today we are going to start with the second method for the preparation of soluble salt, that is crystallization. Okay, so let's start with it. Preparation of soluble salts. So I have told you that soluble salt could be prepared by the two methods. The first method was titration, and the second method, that was the crystallization. I have told you titration method you can use if the salt is soluble and it contains group 1 metal and ammonium NH4 inside it. So then you can use the titration. If any other metal than group 1, okay, or ammonium that is present, then you can use the crystallization method. So if group 1 and ammonium that is not present within the salt, so then you can use the crystallization method. Any metal from group 2, group 3, transition metal, or any other metal that is present except for group 1, then you can use the crystallization method. Okay, so let's start with one of the salt. Let's suppose copper sulfate. Okay, so we want to prepare the copper sulfate. First of all, we have to think about the solubility. I have told you the solubility chart at the start of the chapter. Copper sulfate, I'm going to tell you a little bit again. All nitrates are soluble. So all the salts which are having the ending at nitrate, they are all soluble. Okay. So the second thing was most halides, they are soluble except for slow learner man, silver, lead, and mercury. Okay, silver, lead, and mercury, if they are attached with the sulfate, they are insoluble. Just like that, I said it wrong. Most halides are soluble except for slow learner man, silver, lead, and mercury. Silver, lead, and mercury, if they are attached with the halogen group 7 elements like chlorine, bromine, so they are insoluble. Just like that, most sulfates are soluble except for low blood cholesterol, lead, barium, and calcium. So this is the copper sulfate. So lead, barium, and calcium sulfate, they are only insoluble. So copper sulfate, my dear, that is soluble. So it means the first thing, that is the soluble salt. Okay. Now our second step, we have to see whether the salt contains group 1 metal or ammonium. Copper, if you see in the periodic table, in the paper, periodic table is provided. If you see the copper, it is present in the transition metal. Okay, so it means copper is not from group 1 or ammonium. So we cannot use the titration method. We could use crystallization method for it. So we can use crystallization method for it. You got it? So this is the soluble salt, okay, and the metal copper is present. It is not going to belong from group 1 or ammonium, so we cannot use titration. We can use crystallization for it. Okay, so what you will do, my dear, keep remember that you could take the metal oxide, you can take the metal as well, You can take the metal carbonate, and keep remember you can take these three things, and keep remember all these three things, they are insoluble in water. Okay, so you can take a non-metal, you can take metal oxide like copper oxide, you can take copper carbonate. But I suggest you always have to take metal oxide. Don't take metal and metal carbonate. You can take the metal carbonate, but don't take the metal. Why? Because I have told you that some metals, they do not react with the dilute acid. So that is why if he has given you the metal in the question, then you can use this method. But if he did not give you any metal or something like that, you have to choose by yourself. You always have to choose the metal oxide. The first thing oxide you should take, okay, or carbonate you should take. But I suggest you take the metal oxide. That is more good. Okay. Walaikum assalam. Your first day today? Yes. Okay. The second thing, that is sulfate, my dear. So the sulfate, you should take the acid. You should take an acid which is having SO4 inside it. So I have told you the names of the acid. So H2SO4, that is the acid which contains SO4 inside it. So you can take the acid. Okay. So the first thing is to make the equation. Okay. So everybody just focus up here, beta. How could we make the equation? Okay. Have a look. So we are going to take this metal oxide, copper, that is having the valency +2, oxide O, this is oxygen, this is -2. So what would be the formula? CuO. This is the solid. Why? Because I have told you all these things, they are insoluble in water, so they are always solid. Metal, metal oxide, metal carbonate, they are always solid, they are not aqueous. Okay. So the second thing is acid. Acid you should take SO4. So any acid containing H2SO4, SO4, that is H2SO4. So H2SO4. So acid shows its worth when it is dissolved in water. So you should write aqueous at it. So make the ions of it H positive and SO4 -2. So these are the ions of this acid. H positive, SO4, that is -2. So whenever, my dear students, you want to make the equation, join the positive of one thing to the negative of the other thing. So join it. So what the formula you will get? Plus minus cancelled, 2, that is also cancelled. So it would become CuSO4. So this is the soluble salt. You should write aqueous at the base of it. You got it? Now join the positive of this thing with the negative of this one, H +1, O -2, plus minus cancel, 2 will come up here, 1 will come up here. So this is H2O. H2O, that is liquid. You got it? So you will get 1 mark for it, crystallization, 1 mark for writing the equation. And now, how could we make the ionic equation for it? Ionic equation making, I have told you there are the two methods. The first method, that is the simplest method, Desi method. Have a look up here in this salt, in this equation. Which things are solid, liquid, and gases? Yes, beta. Which thing is solid, liquid, and gas? Solid is copper oxide. Just write it as it is. And anything else? So liquid is H2O. So H2O, write it as it is. Just write these two things as it is because they are solid and this is liquid. Solid, liquid, and gases, if they are present in the equation, just write them as it is. You got it? Now, the things which are aqueous, this is aqueous, this is aqueous. Now make the ions of them. H +1, SO4 -2. Cu +2, SO4, this is -2. Now cut the same ions which are present on both sides. Sulfate is present up here. Sulfate is present up here. This one would be cut. So what would be your ionic equation? This is H positive. 2 is written. 2 should be written at the start of it. Don't write H2 positive. Just write it H positive, and 2 should be written at the start. And this is aqueous, and this is Cu plus 2. This is also aqueous. So this is the ionic equation for this reaction. You got it? So keep remember, if you want to make the ionic equation, the way is very simple. In the whole equation, just find out a thing which is solid, liquid or gas. Just write them as it is. And the aqueous thing, make the ions of them. Just cut the same ions. And the thing which is left, you should write it in the ionic form. And that would be your ionic equation. Everybody got it, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we are going to start with its detail, that how could you perform the experiment. Okay, so the answer that is very simple, beta. You should take a beaker or a vessel, just put the acid inside it. What is the name of acid? H2SO4. So just put H2SO4 inside it. Don't measure it. No need to measure it. Just put the acid inside a beaker, any amount. Okay, it's not necessary that you should. It's not necessary that you should measure it 100 or you should measure it 20 cm cube. No, don't measure this acid. Just put the acid inside a vessel. This is the beaker. I have put the acid inside it. This acid. You got it? Now the second step is, this is the solid thing. So put this solid thing inside it. So this is the copper oxide. Okay, this is the solid thing. So put excess of copper oxide in it. Excess means a very big lump, a very large piece of this solid of copper oxide should be put inside it. You got it? So now what would happen when it will come inside it? They will start reacting with each other. As this thing is excess, it has got a larger piece. Okay, so its amount will react with the acid, and there would be some amount that is left behind, like that. A small piece of this one would be left behind. Why? Because this thing is in excess. Excess means it is in greater quantity. You got it? So you put a large piece of copper oxide inside it. It will start dissolving, and a time will become when it will not dissolving. If you put it for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, the same piece that will remain inside it. You got it? So when it is no more dissolving, what should you do? You should filter it up. Okay, this solution, that is the salt and water solution. You should heat it up, okay, till it become concentrated. Concentrated means गाढ़ा हो जाएगा जी. And then allow to cool. इसको ठंडा होने के लिए रख दें. Crystals, they would be formed on its surface. Solid चीज बन जाएगी इसके ऊपर. Just take it off and wash it with distilled water and dry it in the folds of filter paper. Take a paper, put this solid in that paper and just press it. So the quality of the paper is, it is going to absorb all the water. Don't dry it in oven. Why? Because this is the soluble salt, and all soluble salt contain water of crystallization inside it. Okay, so have a look up here. Copper sulfate. If alone copper sulfate is present, it is in powder form. But if copper sulfate is joined with water molecules like that, so these water, they are called as the water of crystallization. So this thing that will form the crystal. So in your house, sometimes you see the salt in the form of powder. So that powder salt does not contain water of crystallization. And sometimes you see their crystals. Okay, the salt, when it comes from the Khora mines, it contains the water of crystallization inside it. Due to this water of crystallization, the salt that is in crystal form, it is having crystal form. Crystal means any solid thing like that, or it could be like that, any shape, that is crystal. Okay, so that is why we are not going to heat it in the oven. We are going to dry it in the folds of filter paper. Take a filter paper, press it, so it will absorb all the water and you will get the soluble salt. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm going to write down its detail up here. Take acid H2SO4 in a beaker, add excess of metal oxide, and the metal oxide we have taken up here, that is copper oxide. In it, filter the excess copper oxide when it is no more dissolving heat the solution till it become concentrated so this is 1 2 3 4. The fifth point is up here. Allow to cool till crystallization wash the crystals with distilled water dry them in the folds of filter paper. So these are the points you should write, 7 points. Okay, so overall this question always come of 4 marks. 1 mark for the crystallization, second mark is for making the equation, and the 2 marks are for this description you have to write. And keep remember this description whenever you want to prepare a soluble salt by crystallization. Okay, so the same language you have to use, only change the name of the acid and whatever the metal oxide you got. Okay, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, take a screenshot. I'm going to rub it. GG. ये नहीं.
सर इसका सवाल फ्राइडे के पेपर में भी आया था कि वो क्रिस्टल कैसे बनाऊं
बेटा वो टाइट्रेशन थी. टाइट्रेशन में भी क्रिस्टल बनते हैं, लेकिन टाइट्रेशन में वो तुम ब्यूरेट इस्तेमाल करते हो, पिपेट इस्तेमाल करते हो. यस बेटा.
थैंक यू
Okay, guys, can I rub it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear students, now I'm going to give you a sort. You have to write down its preparation, giving you 5 minutes for it. After 5 minutes, I'm going to ask everyone to answer me that question. Okay? So you should write the same language, the same thing. Okay? So write down the preparation of the calcium chloride. Come on, guys. I can assist you. This calcium is present in the group 2. It is not present in group 1. Okay. So its formula that is Ca plus 2 Cl minus 1. So this is CaCl2. So you should prepare it. Everyone should try it, beta. Just try it. Come on, guys. If anyone has done it, please let me know.
सर वो पे -2 चार्ज है
इसके ऊपर O के ऊपर -2 होता है.
Sir, hydrogen chloride plus calcium sulfate.
What you said, Elvina? Say it again.
Sir, products HCl plus CaSO4 बन रहे हैं.
Products? No, beta. First of all, you should take. This is the metal. So metal oxide you should take. Calcium oxide. So calcium is +2. O is -2. So it would become CaO. This is solid. And think about the acid which contains Cl inside it, that is HCl. This is aqueous. So make the ions of it H plus and Cl minus. So join this one with this, so it would become CaCl2 and H and O, they will join together to form H2O. You got it? So this is aqueous and this is liquid. If you want to make the ionic equation, this is solid, write as it is. This is water, write it as it is. These are the aqueous thing, make the ions H plus 1, Cl minus 1, calcium plus 2 and Cl minus 1. Cl minus would be cancelled. There Cl is 2, so put 2 up here. So it should be 2H positive, aqueous, and Ca plus 2, aqueous. So this is the ionic equation. Yes.
So ये 2H क्यों है?
2H क्यों है? क्योंकि क्लोरीन कितने हैं? इधर कितने थे? एक था पहले, तो इसलिए 2 किया उसको, ताकि बैलेंस कर सकें यार. क्लोरीन 2 है ना, तो इधर 1 है. So you need 2 chlorine. So that is why you put the 2 up here. ठीक है जी. और इधर हाइड्रोजन भी 2 है, देखो, तो इधर 1 था, तो इसलिए ये 2. ठीक है जी. So this is the ionic equation. Now how you should write it? You should write it. Take hydrochloric acid in a vessel. Add excess of calcium oxide solid inside it. Filter the excess calcium oxide when it is no more dissolving. उसके बाद heat the solution till it become concentrated. Allow to cool till crystallization. Wash the crystals with the distilled water and dry them in the folds of filter paper. So the same description you should write. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear. We are
writing it.
You were writing it. इसको लिख लो. कहाँ से नहीं लिखा मैं बता देता हूँ. You can ask me, dear. कहाँ तक लिखा था?
सर मैं लिख रहा था
कोई बात नहीं, आप लिख लो उसको। तो ये कैल्शियम को क्लोरीन के साथ ज्वाइन करो ना, क्या फॉर्मूला बनता है? CaCl2 और प्लस ये HO के साथ ज्वाइन होके H2O बना देगा। एक चीज के पॉजिटिव को दूसरी चीज के नेगेटिव से ज्वाइन करते हैं। ये सॉलिड है, ये लिक्विड है। दिस इज एक्वस। लिक्विड और सॉलिड को वैसे का वैसे ही लिखो जब आयनिक इक्वेशन बनाने में। लिख दो इसके नीचे लिक्विड, दिस इज सॉलिड, और इनके आयंस बना दो H+1 Cl-1। तो इसके ऊपर देखो यार, H+1 Cl-1 और ये वाला Ca+2 और Cl-1। सेम कौन से आयंस है दोनों में से?
सर
Cl की काट दो, बाकी जो बचा है ये H पॉजिटिव इधर लिख दिया और इधर Ca+2 लिख दिया, बीच में प्लस का साइन डाल दो, उधर भी प्लस का साइन बीच में, तो इधर। Okay guys, now we are going to start with one of the very important topic. This topic is very small, but a question always come in paper 4 about 10 marks, and in paper 1 mostly 2 or 3 marks come from it, and in paper 2 sometimes they will give you the question about 5 marks, sometimes 4 marks, something like that. So almost 20 marks they are from this small topic. And this topic is also related to the salt. This is the last topic of the salt. Okay, so after that we are going to start with the next chapter. Okay, so salt would be completed. So the students which have joined recently, okay, they can take the recordings of this acid, base, and salt from the academy persons. They are going to provide it to you. Okay, so let's start with the identification of salts. So this is very important topic, beta. Everybody just focus up here. Have a look. So this is a dish. Okay. In this dish, I'm going to give you any salt. So this is the salt I have given you. Okay. Now my question for all of you, that what is the name of the salt? Okay. What is the name of the salt? Just given you any salt. Okay, like calcium chloride, calcium nitrate, sodium chloride, sodium phosphate, sodium sulfate, whatever. There are so many salts, thousands of salts. So I have given you one salt, okay, and I'm just going to ask you, tell me the name of the salt. Okay, so don't you worry about it. Keep remember, any salt, it is an ionic compound. Ionic compound means it contains positive ion and negative ion inside it. Positive ion means cation and negative ions mean anions. Okay, so you have got the ionic compound. Okay, so the ionic compound means it has got the positive ion inside it and it got the negative ion inside it. So we have got different techniques by which we come to know that which positive ion is present in the salt, and there are some techniques by which we can tell that which negative ion is present in the salt. Let's suppose by those techniques we get the positive ion, that is copper, and the negative ion, that is iodide. So you should join these two things, copper, iodide, that is the name of the salt. Okay, just like that, by those techniques you will get the positive ion, that is aluminium, and the negative ion, that is sulfate. So if you join both of them, you will get aluminium sulfate, that is the name of the salt. So now one by one we are going to start with the test for positive ions and test for negative ions. Okay, so let's start with the test for positive ions, which are called as the cations. Okay, my dear. To test the positive ion, what should you do? You have to take the two test tubes like that. Okay, take the two test tubes. In both test tube, just take a little bit amount of this salt. Put the salt inside it. So this is the salt. Just take the salt which is given you in the dish. Just put little bit amount of the salt inside it. So this is the salt. Okay. The second thing, you should put the water inside it. So this is the water. Okay. Now what should you do, my dear? You should stir it well. Stir it well. You just shake it well. So what would happen? The salt will dissolve inside the water. Okay. So when the salt dissolves inside the water, you are unable to see the salt now. So that solution would become the aqueous solution of the salt. Okay. So now what you got, my dear? You are going to get the two test tubes like that. And the salt that is being disappeared. And that solution, it is called as the aqueous solution of salt. So this is the aqueous solution of salt. Is it clear? So just name these two test tubes as 1 and this is 2. Name these test tubes. Just put a sticker on these two test tubes. This is test tube 1 and this is test tube 2. Just put the sticker 1 and 2 on it. You got it? Now what you have to do, my dear, in the first test tube, you should add 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide. Aqueous sodium hydroxide, it is a strong alkali. I have told you in the acid and base chapter that anything which dissolves in water and produces OH minus ion, so that thing is called as the alkali. So this is the strong alkali. Okay. In the second test tube, what should you do? You should add 5 to 10 drops of aqueous ammonia, NH3. NH3, that is called as the ammonia. So aqueous ammonia, that is the weak alkali. Okay. So what is meant by the strong alkali? What is meant by the weak alkali? Now just listen it up. Okay, my dear students, if you take sodium hydroxide, if you put it in the water, you will get sodium ion, Na plus, and this is OH minus ion. Okay. So if you put it in the water, sodium ion and hydroxide ions, they are produced, and this is a symbol of irreversible reaction. This reaction is going only in one direction. So this thing shows it is a strong alkali. On the other hand, if you take the ammonia, NH3, if you put it in the water, so water will react with it. So reversible sign. So what would happen? This is going to give its H positive to it. H positive from water will come up here. So it would become NH4 plus 1, and there O and 1H would remain. OH, that is negative. So this thing has dissolved in the water to form OH minus ions as well. So this reversible sign shows that it is a weak alkali. So both of them, so this thing just ionize in water. It does not react with water. This is a strong alkali. But the weak alkali, it reacted with water. It has taken H positive from water to become NH4 positive, and O and H that is remained, so it would become OH negative. So this is the weak alkali. This is the reversible sign. This shows this is weak alkali. And this one direction sign, this will show that this is the strong alkali. So any alkali, my dear, keep remember it dissolves in water to produce OH minus ions. You got it? So now what we have done up till now, we have been provided with some salt. Okay, salt is an ionic compound. It contains positive and negative ions. The positive ions are cations, the negative ions they are anions. So what should you do? There are some tests for cations. You should take little bit amount of the salt that is provided in 2 test tubes, put water inside it, dissolve it, shake it well. It will form the aqueous solution of salt because salt is invisible now. Now you should name it as test tube 1. This is test tube 2. In the test tube 1, you should add 5 to 10 drops of aqueous sodium hydroxide, which is strong alkali. 5 to 10 drops of aqueous ammonia, which is the weak alkali. Okay. So the details of these things we will discuss inshallah tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to take the screenshot or you can copy it, you can.